All right, everyone, I'm back, and today I'm going to kind of do a comparison of two M-Lok rails at two different price points. One of those rails would be the Guntec USA. That's a 12-inch rail. It's on a 14.7 inch barrel. And then the rail at the top is a new Midwest Industries Super Slim Gen 3, and that's the one that has the torque plate on it, and it attaches a whole new method than the previous generations. So I'll be pretty much hitting a few points that I think are pretty good. One is price, weight, some of the features, the actual quality of the rails, the locking system, and then kind of some of my final thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing that I always want to talk about is price. Now, the Guntec USA rail was I got it shipped for $76 from cheaperthandirt.com. Pretty good price. $76 to get you an M-Lok game is not bad, and it's not a bad rail, and I'll talk a little further on that as well. Now the Midwest Industries, that's the like I said, it's the Gen 3. It's the, I believe, 12.65 is the length on it. I got that shipped for $167 shipped from vtsupply.com. Now I do want to mention this before I go ahead and say that from VT Supply. On their website, they have it listed as the lightweight version. Now they may have the lightweight version in stock, but they shipped to me the regular version. So I do want to point that out. So VT Supply, if you're listening, I don't know if you guys maybe have something wrong on your website or if I just got the wrong thing shipped, but I did receive the regular version versus the lightweight. And the weight difference between those, the lightweight is 8.8 ounces. It doesn't have the full, 19.5 rail or whatever, nice Picatinny rail at the top. And then the regular version is comes in at 9.4 ounces, but it does have a full length rail. Now, the next thing I'll say was, like I said, jump straight into it, was weight. So the Guntec USA rail comes in at a slim 9.1 ounces for a 12-inch rail, which I think is excellent. 9.1 is absolutely pretty light. It's very light, actually. There's not many that are lighter than it. Of course, the BCM, KMR, but then you're going to spend $200. Even their new Alpha rail that they have, that's made from just aluminum, I believe that one is 9.9 ounces. So even this is lighter than that. And same thing with the Midwest Industries. It's 9.4 ounces, still pretty light. And if you go with the lightweight version, you'll be at 8.8 ounces, which is great. So those are two things I like to mention about the weight. Now the features. Now that's kind of where we'll start to see the difference between these rails and the reason why one is a different price than another. Now the Guntec USA rail, it's pretty featureless, to be honest with you. It's pretty straightforward. You get your M-Lok here, you get your M-Lok on this side as well, and then you get your M-Lok on the bottom. You won't have M-Lok slots on this side, neither will you have on this side. And of course, these are an M-Lok as well, little vent holes that you'll see right there. Now versus the Midwest Industries rail, where you have M-Lok pretty much across the entire rail. Actually, you do have it across the entire rail, as you can see. And yes, this is the Midwest Industries. You can see that right there. Probably should turn it this way. Another thing you'll see too as well with the Midwest Industries rail is that it has QD slots on it. You have one here, another at the bottom, and of course on your sides, the other side as well, which I love. I actually do love that feature because it saves me from having to buy because I initially was going to get a QD slot for the rail and place one up here, and then on here on the Guntec rail for my battle. This is my rifle. This is my friend's rifle. So what I kind of recommended for him was to get the QD slots and just mount them on there, because Magpul does make those for the M-Lok, and that way you can go ahead and mount your your QD slings there. Luckily with this rail you don't have to do that because it's already built in, which just saves you weight. And as we all know, weight is very important. Well, for me, it's definitely very important. So that kind of brings us to the features and differences between the two rails. Another thing about the Midwest Industries rail is you're getting a longer sight radius on it. So not only are you getting more places to mount your M-Lok accessories, you also have a longer sight radius than, say, this 12-inch rail. Another good thing that I do love about Midwest Industries is their warranty and customer service. I've had a problem in the past with Midwest Industries. I contacted them, and not only did they send me a new product, they sent me a new product without me having to send the old product back. Now, this is kind of goes into the integrity thing. I did, of course, send the product back, but the good thing, like I said, they shipped it out without me having to wait to send it out and deal with that process. Guntec USA, I'm not too familiar with their customer service or their warranty, but for $75, I mean, I'm not too sure of it. Not too sure, to be quite honest with you. Now, the big kind of difference between these two rails, and that's going to be the quality of them. The Guntec USA rail, like I said, is $75. And don't get me wrong, people, it's not a bad rail for $75 to get you an M-Lok game. It's not. I do want to state that. But there are a few things that I do kind of notice between this rail and this rail that kind of lets me know that this rail definitely does cost a little more. Now, am I saying that it's worth $100 more than this rail? That's going to be for you to decide. Personally, to be quite honest with you, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would go with this rail and just maybe get the QD slots where I wanted them at. That's the only thing that I would really use it for. Now, I do want to point this out. This rail, when you get it, it will not come T-marked. It does not come T-marked at all. And, I mean, that's kind of what you expect. It's a budget rail. Another thing, it has no sort of anti-rotational feature on the rail. Now, am I saying that that's a bad thing? No, because to be quite honest with you, I think this is the most secure locking method with 6 screws. And with 6 screws, I don't see it going anywhere. That's just me. I just don't see if in the event that this handguard was to move, you got bigger problems, because that means that your barrel nut is moved. And if your barrel nut's moved, then like I said, you got bigger problems to worry about than your handguard coming loose. Now another thing that kind of lets me know this is a budget rail, as you can see, there's a pretty big gap between here. I mean, it's not huge. I mean, it's not a deal breaker. It's not nothing that's going to really affect your accuracy, but it is there. There is a gap there versus the Midwest Industries rail. As you can see, this thing is on there. There's no kind of gap whatsoever. And just the actual feel of the rail, I don't know how to. I guess the feel is very a subjective thing to say, but it actually does feel a little bit better. I don't know how to explain it, but this rail feels. It just feels thinner. It feels like a lower quality aluminum. I don't know how to explain that, but if you had them both in your hand, I guess you could feel the difference between them. Another thing that I noticed too, and like I said, this is my rifle. This is my Battles rifle. He hasn't had it for long, but already he's mounted a few accessories, and as you can see, it seems like the aluminum in there is kind of scuffing away already, and not only there, at the bottom as well. And he's only probably had it for maybe a month, if that. So I definitely do want to point that out, because I noticed that and I said, man, he hadn't had this for long, and it's already kind of scuffing up. It seems like the aluminum right here is a softer aluminum. They say it's 6061, same thing with this one, but to be quite honest with you, it does feel softer. So I do want to point that out. But like I said again, I mean, everything still mounts perfectly. Everything is within spec. So I mean, that's going to have to be up for you to decide if it's really worth it to spend an extra $100. Versus, like I said, getting the mid-rest to the the Guntec. Now, something I did want to say about the Midwest rail. This rail, it is light, but something I did notice between it, if you can see, there is a little bit of barrel flexing. I mean, you're gonna have that at all rails. This one has it too, but not nearly as much. Could that be from the actual way it attaches to the barrel nut? Because this barrel is actually shorter than this one. But I did notice that too, that there is some flex there. As you can see, I'm not putting much force on it, and there is flex there. Now, granted, it's a free float too, so I won't have to worry about that. But another thing I did want to point out with that too is I'm using the Daniel Defense clamp gas block on here. You really can't see it, but it actually does touch the bottom of this rail. So I did want to point that out too. With a clamp on gas block, you're probably going to get, and this is a lightweight barrel too. So imagine if you had like a like a regular barrel with the .750, and you had a clamp on glass block. You probably would. Honestly, I don't think it would fit. To be honest with you, um, so that's something I do want to point out too. I believe Midwest is bringing out a wider handguard just for that purpose. But I did want to point that out with the Guntec. It's also a pretty tight fit here. This M-Lok slot is basically useless. I can't use that because the gas block is in the way. So I did want to point that out as well. Using these slim hand guards, you do have to, kind of watch out, make sure that your gas block isn't too wide. Now, the locking system, I definitely want to touch into that. Guntec USA locks with 2, 4, 6 screws. And I said this in the previous video, they all feel pretty solid. I did wish that they put Loctite on the screws. But I think this is the most secure method of attaching the handguard to the rail. Personally, I think this is the most secure. I don't see it sliding forward. I don't see it rotating. Even with the lack of anti-rotational features on the rail, I don't see it moving. Now, I do want to point this out too. This rail comes with an aluminum barrel nut. I'll let you do your own research on aluminum barrel nuts. I'm still kind of learning on it. So it's kind of hit and miss whether I would want it on a rifle or not. I don't think it's anything negative to say with it, but like I said, I'll let you do your own research. So it does come with an aluminum barrel nut. Now, a lot of guys would be interested in the Midwest Industries, the way that this locks up to the barrel nut. And actually, I was kind of skeptical of this. I've dealt with Midwest Industries rails in the past, and I didn't like how they attach. I don't feel like the clamp system is the most secure. I feel like with enough force, you could pull it forward, especially the older rails. So that's what I really, really was skeptical with this one, and I did want to point that out because a lot of guys see Midwest and hey, buy it. They don't look at the locking system, and they don't really think about if you're a soldier or you know any soldiers, weapons get dinged up, they get abused, especially in combat. They get abused. It's just the nature of the game. So you definitely want a very, very secure locking system. But with that being said, with me having this mounted on here, this rail feels solid. I was very skeptical of it, but this rail feels nice and solid. Like I've actually tried to pull it forward. I couldn't get it to budge at all. It does have anti-rotation with the torque plate. They interface with the upper receiver right here and right here, so it stops it from rotating. And I was also kind of skeptical. I was looking at it, I was like, how does this torque plate actually contact the barrel nut and stop it from sliding forward? Because that was my always thing with the Midwest rails, with them sliding forward. So the torque plate does have 2 little hooks on it. Now I'm still kind of skeptical of that because they are quite small. But if you were to have the rail in person, it feels solid. And you do still have Loctite on it as well. I put a very generous amount of Loctite on it. So I personally, I don't think it's going anywhere. I haven't zeroed the rifle yet because I'm still waiting on my sight, but I have shot it and I got it pretty hot. And I still tried to loosen it up and it didn't budge. It actually feels very, very solid. So I do want to point that out. So if you guys are kind of skeptical about the locking system on it, don't. It's really simple to install, and it feels solid. I mean, it really does. So don't worry about that. I mean, I'm sure there'll be, it's still, it's still pretty much a brand new rail. So there may be some guys that are able to get them off, but I don't see it happening. And now the last thing I did want to mention is just kind of my final thoughts of which rail I would kind of recommend, or which one maybe I would get in the future. So if I'm going to be a guy that just, like, I have a rifle I know it's going to be in a range bag, it's going to the range, it's coming out the range bag. To be honest with you, I probably would go with the Guntec. It's $75 versus $167 ship, and I can definitely use that, buy more ammo. More ammo is always better to train with. Always get more ammo. I mean, come on, especially the age we're in now. Now, is that to say this is a bad rail? Absolutely not. I just don't think it's worth the extra coin versus the Guntec USA rail. So like I said, that'll be up to you to decide. It is still a great rail. I still prefer it over the Guntec USA rail. I know it sounds crazy. It just feels better. I'm a fan of a longer sight radius and the QD slots. And now with me testing out the locking system, I love it. So like I said, that's up to you to decide whether you're more of a price guy or more of okay, I'll spend a little more and get a little more features out of it. So I'll let you decide on that. And like I said, this is my wrap up of the Guntec USA rail. You can get it 76 bucks shipped from cheaperthandirt.com, or you can get the Midwest Industries Generation 3 M-Lok rail for vtsupply.com, and you can get that one shipped for you for about $167 ship. Guys, great shooting. Have a good day.